What's up guys, it's CodingBoy56 back at it with another video. So today we're going to be looking at some global light calibration, and what that is just trying to calibrate all four sensors, if you're using all four as light, that is, at the same time. And that's just supposed to minimize as much as the human is supposed to do, and just let the robot kind of do all the work. So with that being said, let's just jump into it. So what I have in front of me here is the ginormous program that is this global calibration. It's the biggest program I've written, and for sure the most complicated that I've shown on this channel, and probably overall as well. The ev3 software doesn't even zoom out past this, so that should tell you something. Anyway, I won't be writing the program in front of you as I usually do. Instead, I'll just be explaining what I've kind of already written. So let's jump into it. So at the very beginning here, I've just put these comment blocks just for me to help with the narration of it. So this is the part one, as it says. We're just setting everything up for the actual main loops. So here, in contrast to what you see in the single light calibration, which I have in front of me here, these are just saved as in three variables known as high, low, and average. So this is perfectly fine for a single sensor, as we just need to save three different values, and we just see what's happening in this loop is if you sense anything higher than high, and high is set to 0 by the way from the beginning, as you see there. If it sees anything higher than that, then it's going to become the new high, and it just repeats over and over until it's found the highest value. And it does the opposite for low. It has low set at 100, and then if it senses anything below that, that becomes the new low variable. And that just stops when you press a button, and that stops the motors. And then what you have here is just the high and low being averaged out to be written to the average variable, and that average variable is displayed on the screen. You press a button, end of program. Nice and simple. So it's pretty good for global calibration, but we do need to change a few things. And the main changes in the global light calibration program is, as you can see here, we have a different kind of data type. And what is that, you ask? It's not numeric, but it's numeric array data type, and that means it's not a variable anymore. So it can basically store as many types of as many data points as you wish, and you can keep on adding to that as you go along using the append function. So if you aren't familiar with what arrays do or how they work, I will I'll put a link in the description below. It's a video made by Builderdude35. He's another ev3 user. Amazing channel, just check it out. And I will also be releasing another video about arrays, explaining them in detail. So for now, if you don't want to go through the pain of watching the videos, just think of arrays as a huge list, or not a list, rather. A variable is kind of a box, and an array is an unlimited amount of boxes where you can put any kind of data in, and you can keep making new boxes. So that would be, we call those indices in programming. So you can store multiple variables basically, and at any point in the program you can write to them. So hope that didn't bore you too much. Anyway, we entered the first loop where normally, if you remember before, it was just a simple block of you deleting the, I don't have it here. The reason for that is I did not make a file for it. Anyway, all you're doing here is that we're deleting the files for low, high, and average. And the reason it's repeating 4 times and it's changing the name each time is because I've labeled 4 different arrays, indices under each array. So there's low 1, 2, 3, 4, high 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. One for each of the 4 light sensors. Anyway, so after you've deleted the files for that, that's just so that they don't get corrupted. All the previous data is gone. you just have this little user-friendly stuff where it just says press button to start on the screen. You wait for the button to be pressed using the wait block. And then this is actually my block I have here. So this is the only parameter that this has. It's known as speed. And you plug in to the motors. So they plug it in whatever speed you desire. I personally recommend anything between 5 to 20. Don't go over that. And because you want it to be as accurate as possible. But if you're in a crunch for time, don't go too slow either. Anyway, a bunch of other user-friendly stuff saying press button to stop. And that will... well, that's going to take place in a later part in this loop, actually. The exit condition for this loop is you pressing the button. Sorry if I'm talking too fast, but I just don't want to drag this video on for so long. It is an extremely long program, as I've alluded to before. So this is part 2, and what it just says there is that you're collecting data, as we had before. So you see the same thing where you're seeing if the value is higher than high, then you want to change that value to what the light sensor is reading, and that's in the if statement right there. But what the major change you see here is instead of me writing out each different variable, high 1, high 2, high 3, high 4, and then doing each of those every time, it's really a pain. And when you're a programmer, especially a programmer as lazy as I am, and when you love to procrastinate, you want to kind of limit your work. So what I've done here is you probably haven't seen a symbol before, but it just means modulo. And what it does is it gives you the remainder. So it's like A divided by B, and what's the remainder? And the A is the loop index here, so that'll be 0 the first time, and then the divisor is is 4, and that's just because, as you can probably guess, 4 different light sensors. So each time this loop runs, it'll just keep on running until the button is pressed. It adds 1 to that remainder each time. So you could be at, what, like 72 different, or 71 different runs through this loop. And that would be, you're dividing by 4, and that leaves a remainder of 3. So you want to put 3 plus 1 into the, see that you're reading from high. I hope that made sense. All you're doing is that you're changing the index you're reading from high or low each time. So you go through the loop once, you're reading from high 1, and then you're checking the light sensor, you're going through it again, high 2, high 3, and high 4, and of course, same thing for low. And it updates so fast that if your robot isn't moving too fast, you should be able to get all the same values that you need for your sensors. So you might be asking yourself at this point, well, why don't you just do what you had in your single light calibration before? And the reason for that is saving them at individual arrays is because light sensors they vary a lot. They're not going to be the same from the same manufacturer. They're going to have manufacturing defects, and you just want to make sure that they all have the same average, low, and high. So here's the low part of the code, same thing, and now you can see the end of the loop. It just waits for the button to be clicked, and you stop the motors. And then it just waits for you to press this button again. It plays that little sound file. I should probably take that out. You don't need it. I just put it in there for debugging purposes because it took me forever to get this to work. It definitely did not work on its first try. Don't expect it to. There's going to be little bugs all the time. And then we have the second stage, or I guess you could call it stage 2.5, and that's when you're just averaging the values. So what you see here is that the loop runs. It runs 4 times, and each time it takes a loop index, and then it puts it into the high and low index when you're reading. And that's so that every time this runs, the loop index changes by 1. And then arrays started counting at 0 if you didn't know, whereas humans start counting at 1. So that's why it would run through high 4 times, 0, 1, 2, 3, low, and same for low, and it's going to average those 2 values and put it in average. And this is also being written at the same loop index. So that's pretty much the logic part for it. This is the main parts. And then what we have left here is that there's just a bunch of user-friendly stuff. Again, click to see results. You wait for the button to be pressed, and then you see port 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here's where the magic of arrays comes in once again, where you're using the array, the loop index, my bad, to read the index from the array that you would like to read from. So we have from average here, it's being saved into a file under average, and then whatever the loop index is at the time, plus 1, that is, because we humans count from 1. So it'll be average 1, 2, 3, 4, that's being saved as a file. And then it's just being closed so that the file doesn't get corrupted or mishandled in any way. And then it's doing the same for high and low. I forgot to mention this. So this is just a clever piece of code where you're putting in the y distance for each, the y position for each number for average, and that's just being inputted using this fancy little math block. All that's doing is that starting from a y value of 10, it moves it down by 30 each time. You run this loop, because you don't want them all being written over each other on the display. You want them to have space. And then that's pretty much the end of the program. All you have to see here is that the average is being displayed. I didn't feel it was necessary to display the the high and low data as well. But if you want to do that, you can do that as well. But this is just for on the FLL table. This is just, it's going to be so useful. You just press the button before you're about to do your runs. The values are saved, and as soon as you have something like, I don't know, a line follow, let me just grab that out here, and you have to value in your average value for the light. You just need to take that average value from a file, like so. Actually, I made a little nifty my block to read from this, by the way. So, what is it called? Read. Oh, that's it. So, sensor data read. So, I will explain this my block in a future video, but it's just going to input the value here, and that just makes it so simple. Like, I can honestly not simplify this more for you guys. It's just, when you make a my block ahead of time for your gyros, your light sensors, motor encoders, whatever you need, and then when you go onto the actual table and you're trying to program, this is just going to take so much time and just leave you with a lot more time to finish more missions. You just select the port, you select what kind of value you want. Let's say I want the high value. I just type in high. Oh, yep. And it's just going to put that in as the average if I'm looking for that. It's beautiful. And then you just end the program with the touch of the button. Actually, you know what? I can fit that in this video. I know I did talk fast, but I still have a little bit of time. So let me just open this. Oh, my bad. Clicked the wrong button. Light sensor read. So all it's doing is that it takes in your port and value. That's text, by the way. That's why you have the orange data wire, and that's numerical. That's the port, and it just reads. It just merges this using the text merge that you've seen so many times before. And if it reads high or low, it's going to add 5 or subtract 5. And that's the reason for that is that if you're detecting high, your robot might not always detect exactly that. So you want to give it a little bit of room, and you can just change that value into my block if you'd like, or you can set it as a parameter if that's what you want. So if you, depending on what kind of text parameter this receives, or sorry, string, my bad, that's what it's called. It's going to output a value called valnum, and that just is the brightness, or sorry, the sensor value that you want to read. So based on the light calibration, anywhere in your program that you want to explore later on, you can do that. All thanks to this my block. Okay, I think it's finally time to end this video. Let's see the robot in action. Hey guys, so as you probably noticed, this is not the usual robot I use, and you might see them in some future videos as well. But this is borrowed. This is one we built at school, my friend and I. And it has this really cool forklift mechanism that I really want to show off to you guys right now. So I'll just control it with the buttons. Wait, wrong motor. There. You can toggle on and off, and it moves up and down. So this can be useful for many FLL missions that involve lifting, and you can also move this pivot lift motor. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get back to the program. So I actually had to take this portion of the video a second time, because the first time I had actually inputted in the program high to the display instead of the average value. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be writing this program. Don't copy it exactly like I've written it. Make sure that you have that corrected. Anyway, now it's all fixed, so let's see the program in action. It has a little black line over there. We have sensor 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's go. It says press button to start. The robot starts moving. And now all 4 sensors are over the line. We'll stop the robot, and we can see the results. So wow, that's actually quite a bit of sensor deviation. So as you can see, this is the average value. And I found that the high values is actually almost twice as much as these values. So these back sensors are reading almost half of what these front sensors are reading. So if we had used the same minimum and maximum values for all 4 of them, this would have definitely not worked out. And it would have also taken a lot more time doing each of them individually. So using this global calibration program, although I know it took a lot of time and it may not seem like it's worth the effort, trust me it is. It's going to save you a lot of headache in the future. Anyway, if you like that video, don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you think you like my channel, and see you in the next video. I know what you guys are thinking. My hair looks worse than my upload schedule.
Dude, I make $7 a year.